Let's start the book. Never split the difference. Negotiating as if your life depended on it. Point 1. Practice makes perfect in negotiation. Negotiation is a craft, a skill that's sharpened with time and practice. It's not something you can master in a day or by flipping through a book. It's a journey of learning, understanding, and adapting to a myriad of situations and personalities. Think of negotiation as a strategic game. It's all about understanding the other person's needs, wants, and limitations. You need to know what they want, why they want it, when they want it, and how they want it. It's about reading their reactions, gauging their patience, understanding their temperament, and identifying their weak spots. And this understanding doesn't come easy. It's earned through practice and experience. Let's take an example from a negotiation class. The teacher, Sheila Heen, paired up her students for a negotiation exercise. One student played the seller, the other the buyer. Each student had a different price limit. Chris Voss, one of the students, was paired with a guy named Andy. In the exercise, Chris managed to get almost all the money Andy had. The class was stunned. How did Chris pull this off? Through practice, Chris had learned that by slightly frustrating Andy, he could trick him into thinking he was getting a good deal. This strategy worked because Chris had a good read on Andy's reactions and weaknesses. This example underscores the power of listening in negotiations. When you listen, you show the other person that you care about their needs and worries. This builds trust and makes them more open to your suggestions. Plus, listening gives you valuable intel about the other person, which you can use to your advantage in the negotiation. In a nutshell, negotiation is a skill that needs constant practice. It's about understanding the other person's needs and reactions, and using this knowledge to your advantage. It's about listening, learning, and adapting to different situations and people. This is the essence of the art of negotiation, as taught by Chris Voss and Tal Raz. Point 2. Learn the tricks of the trade to negotiate well. Let's talk about the art of negotiation. It's not just a chat or a deal-making session. It's a skill, a strategy, something you need to learn and practice. And there are a few key techniques that can make you a pro at it. First up, self-control. You got to keep your cool and stay focused. Why? Because our brains can only handle so much at once. Psychologist George A. Miller found that we can juggle about 7 bits of info in our conscious mind. So, if you're all jittery or distracted, you might miss something crucial. So, keep your emotions in check and your mind on the game. Next, patience. Don't rush through a negotiation. It can make the other person feel like you don't value their stance or that you're not reliable. But if you take your time, listen, and respond thoughtfully, they'll feel respected and more likely to play ball. Your voice can also be a game changer. Think of a late-night radio DJ, calm, confident, in control. That's the tone you want. It can reassure the other person that you've got this, especially in high-stakes situations. Like when a criminal is thinking about surrendering and needs to know they won't be hurt. Lastly, there's this thing called mirroring or isopraxism. It's about copying the other person's speech patterns, tone, and body language. It helps build a connection and encourages them to spill more beans. It works because it triggers their sense of comfort and familiarity, making them more likely to open up. So, to be a top-notch negotiator, you need more than just good communication skills. You need to master these techniques to stay calm, patient, and in control, and to build a connection with the other person. Practice these, and you'll see your negotiation game level up. Point 3. Spot and name the issues to win the negotiation. Let's talk about 2 key strategies that can make or break your negotiation game: tactical empathy and labeling. Tactical empathy is all about getting into the other person's shoes. It's not just about feeling sorry for them, but really getting a grip on their viewpoint, their feelings, and what's driving them. This is a game changer in negotiations because it lets you predict how they might react and tweak your game plan accordingly. Let's say you're hammering out a business deal and you realize the other guy is sweating bullets about the financial risk. You can tackle this head-on, offering reassurances or plan Bs to ease their worries. Now let's talk about labeling. This is a nifty trick where you call out the other person's emotions to show you get it. You're basically saying, "I see you. I hear you." For example, you might say, "You seem really stressed about the financial risk here." By putting a label on their feelings, You're showing them you're clued in and taking their worries seriously. This can help build trust and a sense of camaraderie, making them more likely to play ball with you. Labeling can also be a great way to take the sting out of negative emotions and boost the positive ones. If the other guy is anxious, you can acknowledge this and then offer a more upbeat perspective or solution. You might say, I get that you're worried about the financial risk, but our numbers show that the potential return on investment is sky high. By doing this, you're not just recognizing their concern, but also offering a silver lining that can help ease their worries. In a negotiation, you've got to be ready for both the highs and the lows. By tuning into the other person's viewpoint and feelings, that's your tactical empathy, and calling out these feelings directly, that's your labeling, you can steer the negotiation more effectively and boost your chances of a win-win outcome. This approach takes a keen eye, a good ear, and a thoughtful way with words, but it can be a secret weapon in any negotiation. Point 4. A good negotiator knows when to say yes or no. Let's talk about the art of negotiation. It's not just about getting a yes or avoiding a no. It's about understanding what these words truly mean and using them to your advantage. In the world of negotiation, yes and no aren't just simple responses. They're powerful tools that can steer the conversation in the direction you want. A pro negotiator knows this and uses these words like a master craftsman. No often gets a bad rap. It's seen as a rejection, a roadblock, a conversation killer. But in negotiation, no can be your best friend. It can help you cut through the fluff and get to the heart of the matter. When someone says no, they could be saying, I'm not interested, you're making me uncomfortable, I don't get it, or I can't afford it. Each of these responses gives you valuable insight that can help you steer the negotiation. Yes, on the other hand, isn't always the golden ticket. There are 3 kinds of yes: counterfeit, confirmation, and commitment. A counterfeit yes is a fake out. It's when someone says yes just to get you off their back. A confirmation yes is a simple agreement to a straightforward question. A commitment yes is the real deal. It's like signing a contract. A savvy negotiator doesn't always gun for a yes. A forced or fake yes can cause trouble later on. Instead, they aim for a genuine agreement, a commitment yes where everyone's happy with the terms. Saying no can also have its perks. It can help you zero in on the real issue, stop bad decisions in their tracks, give people a chance to think things over, boost confidence and control, and even give the negotiation a bit of a kick. So, the next time you're in a negotiation, remember, yes and no aren't just words. They're tools. And a pro negotiator knows how to use them to create a win-win situation where everyone feels heard, respected, and satisfied with the outcome. Point 5. Persuade fairly to get what you want. Let's talk about the art of negotiation. It's not just about getting what you want, but about understanding the power of persuasion and fairness. These 2 elements can swing the outcome of any negotiation in your favor. So, what's persuasion all about? It's the ability to sway someone's beliefs, attitudes, or behaviors. In a negotiation, it's about getting the other person to see things your way and agree to your terms. But remember, this isn't about trickery or force. It's about making your case in a way that's compelling and makes sense. Take the technique of mirroring, for example. This is when you repeat the last few words of what the other person just said. It's a 2-pronged approach. It shows you're really listening and understanding their viewpoint, and it encourages them to keep talking and spill more beans. The more they talk, the more information you have to build a persuasive argument. Now, let's talk about fairness. It's about making sure the deal benefits both parties. It's about finding a solution that meets everyone's needs and interests. In a negotiation, how fair the other person thinks the deal is can greatly affect their willingness to agree. If they think it's unfair, they'll likely resist, even if the deal is actually good for them. One way to make your offer seem fairer is to anchor their emotions. This means you present the worst possible scenario first, making your offer look better in comparison. Say you're negotiating a salary. You might start by mentioning the lowest possible salary for the job. This sets a low bar, making your actual salary request seem more reasonable and fair. Another trick is to let the other person make the first offer. This gives you a chance to see what they're expecting and adjust your strategy accordingly. But if you're the one making the first offer, try to establish a range based on past experiences and what you know now. This can stop the other person from getting defensive and resistant to your offer. Also, try offering things that matter to the other person, but not so much to you. This can make your offer seem more attractive and fair to them. For instance, if you're negotiating a business deal, you might offer to take on some tasks that the other person hates but you don't mind doing. And here's a final tip. Surprise the other person with a gift. This can create a sense of obligation in them, making them more likely to agree to your terms. This is based on the principle of reciprocity, which basically means that people tend to feel like they need to return a favor when they receive one. So, there you have it. By understanding the power of persuasion and fairness, and using techniques like mirroring, anchoring emotions, letting the other person make the first offer, offering things that matter to them, and surprising them with a gift, you can swing any negotiation in your favor. Point 6. Be the puppet master in negotiations, but don't let them see the strings. Let's dive into the art of negotiation, where the real magic happens behind the scenes. It's all about subtly steering the conversation in your favor without the other person even realizing it. Sounds tricky, right? But don't worry, we've got some strategies up our sleeve. Imagine you're a puppet master, but instead of pulling strings, you're guiding the conversation. You want the other person to feel like they're in the driver's seat, even though you're the one with the map. It's a delicate dance that requires a good understanding of how people tick and how to communicate effectively. One of the secret weapons in your negotiation arsenal is what we call calibrated questions. These aren't your run-of-the-mill questions that can leave you owing the other side. No, calibrated questions are designed to subtly shift the power balance. They're open-ended, thought-provoking questions that need more than a simple yes or no answer. They get the other person thinking and sharing their thoughts, feelings, and wants. For example, if you ask, "What about this is important to you?" You're getting the other person to spill the beans about their priorities and what they value most. You can then use this intel to steer the conversation towards your goals. Or try asking, "How can I make this better for us?" This question subtly shifts the focus from individual wants to shared benefits. It shows you're open to working together and looking for a win-win solution, which can help build trust and rapport. And then there's the power move. How would you like me to proceed? This question gives the illusion of control to the other person. While they're deciding the next steps, you're actually setting the stage based on their response. In a nutshell, the secret to subtly controlling a negotiation is all about asking the right questions at the right time. With calibrated questions, you can guide the conversation, gather valuable intel, and influence the other person's decisions without them even realizing it. This strategy can be a game changer in achieving your negotiation goals while keeping things friendly with the other party. Point 7. Don't just plan, make sure it happens. Overseeing a plan or situation isn't enough. You've got to make sure it's carried out to the end. This nugget of wisdom emphasizes the need to not just strategize, but to also ensure that the strategy is effectively put into action and the desired results are achieved. Let's break this down with some negotiation tactics. 1. The 7-38-55% rule. This rule, cooked up by UCLA psychology professor Albert Mehrabian, suggests that in any chat, only 7% of the message is delivered through words, 38% through the tone of voice, and a whopping 55% through body language. This means that to make sure a plan works, you've got to pay attention not just to what's being said, but also how it's being said and the nonverbal signals that come with it. For example, if you're hammering out a business deal, you need to watch your counterpart's tone and body language to figure out their real intentions and feelings. If their words say yes, but their tone and body language scream discomfort or hesitation, the plan might not pan out as you'd like. 2. The rule of 3. This trick involves getting your counterpart to agree to the same thing 3 times, which can help confirm they're on board with the plan. For instance, if you're planning a project with a team, getting members to confirm their tasks and deadlines 3 times can help make sure they get it and are committed to their responsibilities, increasing the chances of a successful execution. 3. The Pinocchio effect. This theory, whipped up by Harvard professors including Deepak Malhotra, suggests that fibbers tend to use more words and third-person pronouns. In the context of executing a plan, this could mean that if someone is being overly chatty or distancing themselves from the situation, they might not be all in on the plan, which could throw a wrench in its execution. 4. Chris discount. This technique involves using your own name to create a friendly vibe and encourage cooperation. For example, saying, "Let's make this work. Chris is counting on us," can help foster a sense of camaraderie and shared responsibility, which can motivate everyone involved to make sure the plan is carried out successfully. In a nutshell, this wisdom nugget underscores the importance of not just cooking up a plan, but also actively managing and monitoring its implementation, using effective communication and psychological tricks to make sure everyone involved is committed to achieving the desired outcome. Point 8. Know your opponent to get a good deal. When it comes to negotiating, it's all about knowing who you're up against. Different folks have different strokes. Some are all about winning, while others are more about finding a solution that works for everyone. By figuring out their game, you can adjust your own strategy to either match or counter theirs, giving you a better shot at getting what you want. For example, you might be dealing with a negotiator who's all about the competition. They're in it to win it, no matter what. On the other hand, you might be dealing with someone who's more about collaboration. They're looking for a win-win situation where everyone walks away happy. Knowing these differences can help you tweak your approach to better suit the situation. One way to do this is by asking questions that make the other person stop and think. For instance, you could ask, "What else could you throw into the mix to make this a better deal for me?" This forces them to consider your needs and might lead to them offering you a better deal. Or you could ask, "Why should I do business with you?" Or, "Why do you think I should do that?" This makes them justify their position, which can give you a better idea of what they're all about. Another strategy is the Ackerman model. This is a step-by-step approach to making and countering offers. You start by setting a target price, then make your first offer at 65% of that. After that, you make 3 more offers at increasing percentages of your target price: 85%, 95%, and 100%. The key here is to use empathy and different ways of saying no to get the other person to make counteroffers before you up your own offer. The last steps of the Ackerman model involve using exact, non-round numbers for your final offer, like $37,893 instead of $38,000, to make it seem like you've really thought this through. You also throw in a non-monetary item in your final offer to show that you've reached your limit. So, in a nutshell, knowing who you're dealing with and using strategies like asking probing questions and the Ackerman model can help you negotiate like a pro and get the price you want. Point 9. Always be ready for a curveball. In the world of negotiation, there's a concept called the black swan. It's not about a rare bird, but rather those unexpected curveballs that can completely change the game. Think of it as that surprise twist in a movie that you didn't see coming. It could be a sudden change in circumstances, a piece of information you didn't know, or an event that shifts the power dynamics. Now, these black swans can be tricky to handle, but there are 3 types of leverage you can use to your advantage. 1. Positive leverage. This is when you've got something the other person wants. Let's say you're selling a one-of-a-kind painting. That painting is your positive leverage because the buyer wants it. You can use this to your advantage by controlling who gets access to it. 2. Negative leverage. This is when you can make things uncomfortable for the other person. For example, if you're in a business deal and you've got some dirt that could tarnish the other person's reputation, that's your negative leverage. But remember, with great power comes great responsibility. Misusing this leverage can backfire and ruin the negotiation. 3. Normative leverage. This is when you use the other person's values or beliefs to your advantage. If you know they pride themselves on being fair, you can use this to push for a better deal by appealing to their sense of justice. The trick to handling black swans is to be prepared. Gather as much information as you can and be ready to roll with the punches. Don't dismiss any information, no matter how small it seems. Be ready to change your strategy based on new information or changes in the situation. By understanding and using these 3 types of leverage, you can navigate the unpredictable world of negotiation and increase your chances of coming out on top. Point 10. Conclusion. Negotiation is an art that requires understanding, empathy, and strategic thinking. It's not about winning or losing, but about reaching a mutually beneficial outcome. To be a successful negotiator, you must learn to listen actively, empathize with the other party, and use effective questioning techniques to uncover their needs and desires. Emotional intelligence is key in negotiations. By managing your emotions and understanding those of others, you can influence the outcome in your favor. Remember, every negotiation is a conversation, not a battle. It's about finding common ground and building a relationship based on trust and respect. The power of a well-placed no cannot be underestimated. It can provide you with control and create a safe space for agreement. However, it's equally important to master the art of saying yes strategically. Negotiation is a skill that can be learned and improved. It's not just for business deals or hostage situations, but for everyday life. Whether you're negotiating a salary, buying a car, or resolving a conflict, the principles remain the same. In the end, the goal of negotiation is to reach a solution that satisfies all parties involved. It's about creating value, not just claiming it. So, never split the difference. Instead, strive for a win-win outcome where everyone walks away feeling satisfied. Enjoyed this book? Let others in on the journey. Great ideas are worth spreading.